I'm no longer staying sober because of what would happen if I wasn't. I'm not staying sober because I'm afraid. I'm staying sober because I love this life and I understand what a pristine mind can do. The single greatest achievement that we can realize in this life is to realize the divinity within ourselves. On the yogic path, when we speak about moving from dark to light, we're talking about bringing the stuff of the subconscious up to the light of day, into the conscious realm so that it can be seen, processed if need be, moved through, and then released, utterly transcended.
Before we jump into this episode, I'd love to invite you to join this candid spiritual community to hear more conversations that will help you become happier, healthier, and more healed. All I want you to do is click on that subscribe button because I love your support. I love seeing all the comments pouring through, all the love pouring through, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to go on this journey with you, whether you're a spiritual seeker or you're just curious about the topic. And we really hope that our conversations will provide you food for thought and inspiration for your own spiritual journey. So join us for honest, candid discussions about spirituality for soul's sake. Today's conversation is going to be with an incredible guest, someone that I admire so much. But funnily enough, I met him through one of my retreat goers. Her name's Louise. Shout out, Louise. You introduced me to Tommy on the fields of Community Festival, Russell Brand's Community Festival. And she was like, this guy is like incredible. But I was like, let me see. I'll check him out. And then I saw him do some yoga teaching and I saw him speaking. And I was like, this guy's incredible. His name's Tommy Rosen. And I cannot wait to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you, Radhika Das.
Thank you. It's an honor and privilege. So, should we talk about, what do you want to talk about?
Yes, well, we're in an interesting time right now. Everybody seems to be under the influence of some form or another. And that's really my work in the world, is to help people to get up above those influences. We could maybe speak a little bit about that.
100%.
Yes.
What influences are we under the influence of?
Very, very vast forces, seen and unseen. We could begin with the influences of our family.
That's where it starts.
Yes, in the material, it starts there. We are under the influence of the food that we eat, the choices that we make in the kitchen, definitely. We are under the influence of the company that we keep, without question. We're under the influence of the things we can't see, the things in our subconscious mind. These are our blind spots. When on the yogic path, when we speak about moving from dark to light, we're talking about bringing the stuff of the subconscious up to the light of day, into the conscious realm so that it can be seen, processed if need be, moved through, and then released, utterly transcended, ultimately. We're under the influence of tremendous societal forces, the forces of marketing and advertising, the forces of everybody else's opinion. Before social media, we were also under the forces of other people's opinions, but we weren't exposed to so many opinions so quickly. Mm-hmm. That's a very serious consideration for where we are today in this world. There's no question. I was actually having a conversation about this today with somebody who works at Google, and they were championing the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, and they were saying, you should be excited about AI. And I said, well, I'm excited about aspects of it. I know that it will help a lot with medical science. We will be able to actually cure disease that we haven't been able to thus far. We will be able to prevent some human suffering. The shadow side of it really is about the shadow side of human nature and how human beings could put something like that to use. So again, and it's the same with social media. It's the same with all these wonderful advances that we're making. But we're under the influence of these tremendous ideas that are everywhere now all the time. The amount of information we're taking in, it's overwhelming for everybody who engages. And so this is a really an interesting time of, wow, isn't it great what we've been able to create? And wow, it's so painful what we've been able to create all at once. We're under the influence of the drugs and or alcohol that we take, whether those are prescribed and absolutely necessary or not. We're under the influence of everything that we consume through our eyes, all of the media that we consume, the shows that we take in on Netflix, the stories that we expose ourselves to, are really, we're exposing ourselves to somebody else's consciousness. And so we have to be very careful about that. We want to choose very carefully, because to be under the influence of these forces, we are unable ultimately to connect with our true self. There's too much of a cacophony. One of the most brilliant things about Kirtan is it's one voice, the collective there, with one mantra directed to build a relationship between the finite and the infinite. It cuts through all that chatter right then and there.
Boom.
Boom. And it's super powerful and super necessary. I say to people when I teach mantra, I'm a New York City kid. I grew up in a family, very secular, non-religious, non-spiritual, unbelievably non-religious, non-spiritual family. We never chanted anything. It was something we would have laughed at around the table when I was a child. And so I say the fact that I chant mantra ought to tell you something.
Right.
There must be something here for somebody like me who didn't grow up with it, but was so drawn to it, and then found the effect of it to be, you could count on it. It's something you could always count on. And I tell people that I work with in recovery from addiction specifically that, I'll be in a workshop and I'll say, please raise your hand if you have never chanted mantra. And, in my workshops, maybe 50% of the hands go up, something like that, maybe more. And I say, oh, you haven't been listening. You've been chanting mantras your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The mantras sound like, I'm not good enough. I don't belong here. There must be something wrong with me. It will never work out. I'm not lovable. If they only knew what I was thinking or what I was capable of or what I did, they could never love me. And so we've been chanting these mantras our whole life, and think of the effect of that inner dialogue. And my teacher told me very specifically, Tommy, don't complete a single negative sentence in your head about yourself. Not one. Don't do it.
That's a mantra right there then. That's a beautiful point.
So that's a practice. That's a daily practice. And the idea is to become aware and to recognize our divine nature. That's what we're doing. The single greatest achievement that we can realize in this life is to realize the divinity within ourselves. And as our teacher, Pandit Rajmani Tegonait from the Himalayan Institute says, it's the single greatest tragedy to die without realizing it. Now, for some reason, that means something to me. I heard that and I was deeply inspired by it. The single greatest achievement to realize the divinity within me. Okay, I'm interested in the single greatest achievement. I believe this statement as a sutra, as a truth. I believe this man and his unbelievable dedication to the path of yoga and of raising consciousness and of becoming awakened. And so that now has become the thing. Which for somebody who works in the field of addiction and recovery is significant, because now I'm no longer staying sober because of what would happen if I wasn't. I'm not staying sober because I'm afraid. I'm staying sober because I am hungry to experience, because I love this life and I understand what a pristine mind can do. And I wouldn't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Yeah, my spiritual teacher, he says it like, this one thing just popped into my mind. He says, don't be afraid to go all the way with your spiritual practices and your letting go of material attachments. Don't be afraid to go all the way, because the truth anyway lies beyond it. The idea is that it's not that I love the sadhanas as much as I love that I'm seeing the awakening happen in non-obvious ways. I'm excited for the awakening that is coming in non-obvious ways.
Yes.
Sometimes the most divine experiences are happening in the most unlikely situations.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I love the sadhana, because it gives me the opportunity to see those small things come out at different moments. So.
One of the musical bands that I've listened to my whole life is called the Grateful Dead.
I've never heard them.
Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay. Well, you're a young man yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm part of a very strange American phenomenon known as Deadheads, who followed the Grateful Dead for many years. It's an American band.
Okay.
Yes.
Grateful. This just sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah.
The Grateful Dead. Okay.
Yes. It's actually, Radhika Das, it's the story of what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all preparing. Ultimately, on the yogic path, we're preparing for death.
Right.
Would you like to be ungrateful in your death or grateful?
I like to be grateful.
Yes, the Grateful Dead. There it is.
Does that make me a deadhead now?
You are now a deadhead officially.
Yes.
Without having heard a single note. It's good.
Tell me, the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, so, there's just a beautiful lyric, and there's so many beautiful lyrics. They're kind of sutras for me, but one of them is, once in a while, you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. And for me, that's been the story of the unfolding of my journey on the path of yoga, the path of recovery, what I call the path of discovery, really. So, yeah, it's just these influences. If you are under the influence, for example, of your parents, let's just start there because everybody is, until you're not, until you can fully individuate and be your own self and live your own life according to your own heart and soul, hopefully. But many, many people get trapped in that relationship. And so let's say your father had an idea for what your life should be like, and you follow that idea, which really wasn't your idea for how you wanted to live. Well, we can go to the texts of the Bhagavad Gita, and we can look at all the spiritual texts that tell us it would be better to pursue your own dharma imperfectly than somebody else's perfectly, which will only lead to suffering. And we've seen so many cases of this in society. And so that's an influence, for example, that you would have to get above in order to live your truth, to be in authenticity, to be in integrity with yourself. And if you're not, that's where all disconnection, that's where all avidya, that's where all misperception, that's where all addiction comes from. All of it. It begins right there. I'm out of sync with myself. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know how to find out. I'm not even sure I want to. All I know is I'm living in reactivity to life now. So I'm reacting to the external, or I'm reacting to internal discomfort by reaching into the external for a solution to that internal challenge. So I'm externally focused now. I'm looking to the outside world to solve my problems. Every billion tries, the external universe, for a split second, aligns itself to what my ego thinks it wants. And for a moment, I confuse that with contentment. Everything is aligned the way I think I wanted it. I got the right job. I have the right amount of money in the bank account. I had all the influences. I have the right body. I'm in the right body now. I lost the weight that I said I would lose. I did the thing I said I would do. I'm with the people I said I would be with. And it's all external. So we're living outside in. And we also know from the texts, all the ancient texts, so the classical Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the first sutra starts. And now the practice of yoga can begin. Simply meaning, have you had enough of looking to the external? Because if you finally had enough, we have something for you. It's called yoga. Turn your gaze inside. Look inside for the solution to all the challenges that you've been facing in your life, to the riddle of you.
There's that poem, right? The paradoxes of our age, conquered outer space, but not inner space.
That's it.
And one of the stories that while you're speaking, you're beautifully speaking, there's one story I used to share at universities. I used to speak at universities. We used to call it the KCSOC. It was called the Krishna Conscious Society. It's like in the US, what do you call them? They're not societies. What do you call them? What are they called? Clubs? Clubs?
A club?
Yeah.
Society, association.
You still have called them societies. Not fraternities.
In universities sometimes, and sometimes post-university.
Yeah. So like it was kind of like that, but we were a spiritual fraternity, so to speak. And I used to tell this in the first person, like I was like, I lived that story, but I'm telling you now, it's not true story. I used to tell it like it was. So if you heard this at university, there are many of you I told the story to. It's not true, but I'll tell you anyway. Okay, so I'll tell you as if I was telling it to the students because it's fun that way. I was in India once, and in India, the one thing that's always broken or always cuts out is the electricity. So I went to a friend's house. Wink, wink. I didn't actually go to a friend's house, but I went to a friend's house, and the friend, obviously, of all things that could have been broken on that day, had the elevator broken. The electricity wasn't working to the elevator. And so a group of us, 5 strapping lads, started climbing the stairs. Up the stairs we went. And of course, this friend of mine lived on the top floor, the 20th floor, so to say. So I'm climbing up these stairs with my friends, and up we go. Halfway we reach, and my friend says, we've got some really good ice cream upstairs. Come on, we're going to make it. All right, come on, let's go. Make it up to the top, 18th, 19th, 20th floor. We reach the top, and he goes, guys, I think I left the keys downstairs. And I swear, I'm a peaceful guy. I was going to punch the crap out of him, you know, like that was it. Yeah, I mean, it's not a true story, but the idea is that the analogy goes as this. We have climbed the ladder of material success. We have climbed the ladder of reaching what we consider to be importance, influence, all the while being influenced, all the while being clouded by so many influences. Have we forgotten the key downstairs?
Yes.
Have we forgotten the key downstairs?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's fair to say we've forgotten the key, I would say. I don't mean to be negative because there's so much extraordinary progress being made.
Of course.
As I look out at the world, though, I would say generally, yes, we forgot the keys. And now there's this massive movement to collect them.
Yeah.
And to put them to good use and to begin to work in the arena where we can actually make progress. And that's the inner world. As the great yogi Swami Rama said, we have to become a citizen of 2 worlds, the inner and the outer.
I love that.
And so we're working on our citizenship here on the inner world. It's called yoga. It's called meditation. It's called absorption. It's sadhana. It's a dedication to awakening. It is about getting up above on a daily basis, up above the influences, so that we can really truly live at peace and live in connection to our divine self. Help others to do the same. And then, as I like to say, and then we all fell in love and the world healed.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes, we fell in love and the world healed. And why not?
The naysayers will say it will not survive because you're taking something that's not of this atmosphere and putting it into a different atmosphere. You know, like once my grandfather Guru was asked this question. Someone stood up in the audience and he asked Bhaktivedanta Swami, he said, how will this survive? It's like taking a crocodile and putting it in the river Rhine. And Bhaktivedanta Swami replied, he said, you can be God conscious in suit and tie. And when I heard that, I sat back in my chair. I was like, it's possible. Because I was living in suit and tie at that time. I was living and working in the corporate world anyway, I don't want to tell you about that life. It's a different life. But I didn't think that I could be spiritual in that context. And you know what the reality is? There's not really much of an excuse. Anyone can do it if you just make it a desire. And if you just open your eyes to go, oh my God, there's so many influences that are influencing me. There's so many things that are clouding my judgment. Do you want the pizza, or did you see an advert so tasty you wanted the pizza?
Yes.
You know? And so in the same way, I said this in another podcast, but I think it's apt here. Martin Luther King says it so brilliantly. He says that those who love peace need to learn how to live and share as effectively and as efficiently as those who love war. And sometimes our propaganda as peace lovers is pretty crap, to be honest.
Yes.
And so therefore, a lot of the influences of the world, I'm not just talking on Instagram, I'm talking on the newspapers, I'm talking in politics, I'm talking at the government level, I'm talking about CEO level. The influence of the world are so good at organizing themselves that all of us just go, they've got it, it's okay. No, their influences are good, no? But I think what we have to do as spiritualists, budding spiritualists, sharing spiritualists is go, no, let's get our stuff together, you know?
Yes.
Let's get the best equipment that money can buy.
Absolutely.
Let's do a rocking podcast that, you know, that challenges the best and make the content such attractive quality and content that people go, I think I want to think about what my influences are.
Yes.
I think I want to overcome them.
So there's a time crunch in this because...
Is there?
I think so, because, well, there's apparently, it feels like there's a pressure.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure, people feel more pressure now. For me, the time element of this is that I know that given enough time, everyone will awaken, because to suffer is to suffer. And when you've suffered enough, when you made all the money you wanted to make, and when you've done all the things you wanted to do and you still feel discontented inside, that's an unbelievably humbling experience. Yeah. And so I know everyone at the end of time, all debts will be paid and everyone will be humbled.
Sure.
But the question is how and when will that happen? While we are disconnected from the planet Earth, disconnected from our bodies, disconnected from each other, disconnected from the totality of it all. So I do feel that pressure, but it's really just an urgency to say, hey, rather than going through the humiliation, which, for example, I went through drug addiction and all these, like this incredible external focus, let's get humble now first. We can learn through the school of hard knocks, or we can learn through the wisdom of other people. Yeah. That's what you're doing here with this podcast. Let's learn from the wisdom of other people. And a good friend of mine says, you know, there's two kinds of people in the world: people who are humble and people who are about to be.
Oofed.
Yeah.
And
I found it to be utterly true. And so I know we're heading to the right place. And yes, humility is a necessary ingredient in the recipe for awakening. Yeah. So I humbly encourage everyone to get humble and to take on a practice of awakening and a practice of awareness. And it's just stopping running away. Slow down, cool down, calm down, and begin to meditate, begin to look.
And ultimately, if everyone doesn't get to that point of humility and awakening, at least I tried.
Yes, and it's okay.
It's okay.
And it's okay anyway. And
that's one of the pressures actually that I felt a lot, like, you know, sharing, and I'm seeing transformation in so many people's lives. But then I sometimes think, is it going to make a big enough dent? You know, when these big swamis came, like Prabhupada came in the 70s with the Hare Krishna movement, it left a flipping dent. You know, people knew about the Hare Krishnas. Now you ask, oh, Harry, what? You know, like it's not, and the dent is gone in one sense. And I'm thinking, I want to do that again. I want to try and leave a dent on the planet in such a way that people have an opportunity, that are looking for humility, that are looking for awakening. They've got a place that they can go.
Yes.
But ultimately, if I don't succeed, at least I should succeed right here. And so I've got one foot in both boats. I want to share, but at the same time, I want to know that at the end of this lifetime, I want to be gratefully dead.
Yes, it's already done. It's already done.
I'm a Grateful Dead fan. I've never listened to a damn song.
We're going to remedy that. But I will say this. We were sitting with Sri Ravi Shankar.
He's an incredible person.
Wonderful teacher. And this woman asked, you know, how do you maintain equanimity in the face of so much negativity, in the face of so much evidence that things aren't working out? Without missing a beat, he said, I live in the conviction that light always wins. The next person asked a question and said, what can we do about the people in the world who are so depressed from what's going on? And he said two things. You sing and you dance.
I love it.
And that's what you're doing, is you're giving people an opportunity to sing and dance. And it's the ultimate antidepressant.
I think so.
And it is stronger than any drug, in my opinion. It has no hangover. There's no hangover to this. It is an elevation without any descent. So I'm just so grateful for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Please keep going. Your style, you're so smooth. You're so smooth.
I'm trying.
And you're not trying. That's the whole point. You're not trying at all. It's just like, I was sitting with my wife today listening to you sing, and I was like, this man is so unforced. It's so easy. He's so easy. And I think at the end of the day that everybody wants that. They want ease. Moving towards that sahaj, that ease of life. And so, yes.
The definition for me really is like, it's not that I'm a humble person. You know what it is? This definition of humility, I've shared it so many times, but I'm really trying to live it every day. It's not to think less of yourself. It's to think about yourself less. And what does that really mean? It means I think about those who I love more, my guru, my God. And so whenever, I never feel alone. You know, I always feel like my spiritual teacher sitting right next to me, and on the other side is my Lord. And so in that way, when I don't have to think it's all on me, I don't feel the pressure on my shoulders, that yes, I'm fallible. I'm probably going to cock up here and there. You know, there's going to be a moment.
Of course.
It's going to be in the newspapers 10 years from now. I'm going to be done for some scandalous thing. Who knows what it is? But I know that the two people that I can count on is Guru and God. And like you have in the notes, I saw it for the first time myself. In God we trust. I also have in God we trust written in my heart. And in that way, that gives me the ability to go and be bold and, you know, challenge people, even the people that are older than me, people that are well more experienced than me. I have faith that I've got someone else holding my back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that gives me the strength to try to do all the things that you're mentioning. So I didn't want to ping pong what you said away, but I accept it with gratitude, but I'm also, with your permission, passing it on onwards and upwards to those that deserve the credit, because it takes a village.
It means you put it in the right pocket. That's good.
I hope so.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
What do you think the next 10 years of your work should look like, getting people over the influence? What is your plan? What's the strategy?
I'm recognizing that if I were to leave this planet today and what someone decided to put on my gravestone was, for example, he managed to stay sober for 30 plus years. That wouldn't be what I want on my gravestone. Actually, I would want someone to say, live to the fullest bloom of his life because of the decisions that he made, because of the people that he surrounded himself with, was able to help countless people to live to the fullest bloom of their life. Now that's something that is meaningful to me. Another thing that would be disturbing to me is that because of the digital reality we live in, I'm not trying to get someone to spend more time online.
Ooh, interesting.
Not at all.
Interesting.
Now I have a podcast like you do. It's called In the Circle.
I want to jump on In the Circle.
Maybe you come on someday, if you're willing and have the time.
I definitely do, and I am willing.
But that's so we all play in the digital realm. I'm trying to use the digital realm to get people to connect with each other outside of the digital realm.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
So for the next 10 years, it's a movement towards community. We're really two things at Recovery 2.0. It's, on the one hand, we are a global community. On the other hand, we're a community that's training itself into awakening and supporting each other to do it. I wouldn't want to just create a community. I want to create a community of people who are dedicated to becoming everything that they can be in this life. And I want them to do it in the 3-dimensional reality, or better put, the 4 or 5-dimensional reality that we live in here in time and space, and not just have a screen between us as we're communicating, although that's important at certain times.
Come dance with us. Come meet us in person.
Exactly.
I want to see you.
Exactly.
I want to meet you.
Yes. And like I got to meet you at Russell's event in Wales, and we had a lovely connection there, and that unfolded to this lovely connection here. Right. And now we get to share something. I didn't know you
guys were married. Can you believe that? I didn't know you and Key were married until I saw you guys together at Bhakti Fest together.
Yes.
So like that, all these connections coming together in one moment.
Yes. Well, 20 plus years we've been married now.
That deserves a round of applause.
It is. It is. Yeah. Most people who know me back in the day, they're like, how did you do it? How did you, of all people, how did you
Any
manage
advice?
that?
What's the thing that you say? What's the part of your conversation when people say, how did you do it?
Communication.
Comms.
Stay current. I mean, my teacher gave me so many gifts on this note. He said to me, do you want to learn what it is to be a world-class partner, a world-class husband? And I said, yes. And he said, well, never let your wife fail.
Wow.
Never let her fail. Never look at her with eyes that would indicate she failed in some way. Never, ever let her feel that way. And it goes, of course, the same for her as well with me. For her to be a world-class partner or wife or whatever the terminology that people are using, it doesn't matter. But if you're in a long-term partnership and it's a spiritual one, which means you're dedicated to truth, don't let each other fail. Yeah. Just that idea shifts the game forever. Yeah. And I knew when I heard that I had work to do. I told my teacher once, I said, at the very beginning of our relationship, I said, I'm married. And he said, well, any monkey can have a wedding. He said, but you might need some help with a marriage. And I said, yes, I'm going to need help. And I opened myself and I said, please help me. Wow. Please. Because I want to be good at this and I want to do this better than the me that I've been could ever do this. Wow. And so I respect that. Yeah, he helped me a lot. And he said so many things, and the practice of yoga has helped me so much. And Kia's love has been, unbelievably helpful.
Jump on the camera just so people can see both of you together. Uh-huh. Can you jump on?
Yeah. This is a whole other topic, but also speak about getting out from under the influences. Learning about a true partnership it's not celebrated in this society, generally speaking. Truly not. So we have to get away from other people's ideas about what it's supposed to look like again. And we have to carve our way forward together in a way that's authentic to us.
I think so too. And it's interesting because we're in the public field. Yeah. So we're public figures, and people so easily can project this idea of the perfect partnership. Yeah. And we're always wanting to portray ourselves as very real. There's ups and downs, there's challenges, and yet if you're committed to love and you're committed to understanding that it's always there's always two involved, and you want to do your own work of self-development, then I think that there's so much possibility for really fruitful, evolutionary, long-term relationships. So here we are, 23 years in.
Congratulations. Thank you. I respect both of you, and I love you both so much more now that I've met you and been able to speak with both of you. And I think I don't want to cheapen the conversation by doing, maybe I do a couple of quick fire questions. That's okay. I feel like he's already ready for these because he heard them in the last episode. But what's something you're curious about right now in your life? Tell me.
I went to one of my teachers a little while ago, and he said I wanted to have him help me with a new sadhana practice. Mm-hmm. I was asking him for a particular sadhana, and he said, "What are you interested in?" And I said, "I want to be able to persuade. I want the power of persuasion. And the way I would use that is with people who are stuck in addiction."
Wow.
I wanted to be able to stand in front of somebody and just through my presence alone, inspire them onto a path of recovery. Mm. Some people have said to me that happened for them with me. And that, as you have said, I attribute that completely to God and Guru and my teachers. Mm. That's not something that I would have the power to do, but that's something that I could develop into a vessel that could have that happen through them. And so that's something I'm curious about. I see people that are hurting themselves so profoundly in some very grotesque and obvious ways.
Yeah.
And it's an experiment, as I had gone through in my life, that they've gone through over and over again, and they've proven to themselves beyond a shadow of a doubt, this isn't working. Mm. And I really want to stand in front of somebody and just have the power of persuasion and look at them, look at their third eye and be like, you never do this again. We're going to take this to we're going to elevate this. We're going to elevate this to another plane now. and we're going to step into a love and an awareness and a presence where loneliness don't exist, it doesn't exist anymore, where that aloneness becomes solitude, which is very beautiful. We're no longer fearful, but we've moved in towards love, towards oneness, towards this beautiful connection. I want to have that kind of thing. So I'm very interested in human transformation. Super interested in it. And, we're in a world now where everybody's looking for hacks. What's the quickest way? What's the hack for this and the hack for that? And I'm interested. And at the same time, people are like, I hurt my knee. How can I heal that? What's the hack for that? And I'm like, you really want to know? It's advanced. They're like, yeah, I really want to know. It's called rest. Rest.
I love it.
The unsung hero of the health and wellness world is rest and sleep. But we don't celebrate that in this society. So I wanna be able to have that level of effect and to be able to continue the work of transformation that I'm in. And I just want to, be better at that and understand how that can happen at a deeper level every day for people.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let's go with another one. What's something you're personally working through at the moment?
Yeah.
One word, one sentence.
One word.
One sentence, one word.
One word, one sentence. Personally working through right now. Pride, greed, lust, anger, attachment. They've been written about before.
Plenty of times.
Yeah. They showed up in a book called the Bible. Some of you might have heard of it.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a human
Good
being.
author, that one.
I'm a human being. I'm in flesh and blood. I'm on the path of discovery. And every day I wake up to do my sadhana to get up above these things. So I'm working on them. Yeah.
And if you create one law, here we go, drum roll please. One law that everyone could or should follow, what would it be?
One law?
Yeah. That if you could create one law in the world. I've heard some crazy ones about that.
Yeah, no, I've got to reel myself in here for this one. This was about to go to a very, off-color place.
Episode 2.
The law is that when you turn 22,
That's
right?
a specific age.
Yeah, right before you go out into the world to do whatever it is you're going to do, you have to do a personal inventory of your life to that point, as seen through the lens of your resentments. You have to review your life and all the resentments of your life, and you have to work each of them out in your 22nd year, so that when you're 23, you're entering the world clean. You have to own your behavior, and you have to enter the world clean from that place. And if we did that, I believe that the world would find peace.
Even if you're not 22, let's do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, I've done it so many times, and it has changed my life.
22. I'm 10 years past 22. I'm still going to do it. So let's do it together, all right?
Absolutely.
Incredible. An inventory of life. I love that. Tom, this has been incredible.
Thank you so much.
It's been a wonderful conversation.
So grateful.
Really enjoyed being with you. And you're quite the orator. You really speak so beautifully, and I think that you're living it beautifully. So long may it continue. And please teach me along the way. I'm a student of yours and a student of many, many others that have been on the podcast. I'm just trying to learn how to make this life one which is both beautiful internally, externally, and beautiful for others also. So teach me how to do that.
Sincerely, we're a student of each other and of the same God, and probably close to the same guru as well. Thank you.
And thank you so much for being with us. See you on the next episode of For Soul's Sake.
If you love this episode, you'll love my interview with Kat Meffin on how life isn't always symmetrical and beautiful. Check it out.
Nobody else owns you and your feelings. So you get to decide ultimately. And obviously, like I said, we were talking then about like how you feel, but you do get to make that decision.
Yeah.
You get to choose how, even if someone says something really horrible to you, or you read something horrible, or you see something that you compare yourself against, you do get to make that choice, however hard that is.